What is up, YouTube? I am Taylor, and I make poor wardrobe choices. It's January, I'm in a basement, and I'm in a short-sleeve shirt, because I'm a genius. Genius! And this week, I'm reviewing a work of comic book genius. See what I did there? There's a transition. And it's not actually that genius, but, you know. New Avengers! Civil War. That's not even how you say war. Civil War! I'm all over the place, people. I am all over the place. I'm freezing my junk off down here. This is by Brian Michael Bendis et al. There's art by Howard Chaykin, Olivia Coppell, Ferry, Chung. Each issue that this collects has a different artist, and each issue in here is a different point of view, a different hero and or heroic villain or villainous hero, whatever the hell. Yeah, this collects New Avengers 21 through 25. Came out in 2007. There's been movies. The Captain America Civil War stole things from that, borrowed, used, repurposed things from here. It's been redone a few times. There's been Civil War Part 2, apparently. I've not read it. And then now there's the Marvel's Devil's Reign event, which is Civil War Part 1 Redux. Redone. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to review this in a second. I forgot to mention this. Stay tuned to the end of this video to find out how to win this. And stay tuned to find out who won last week's book, which I do not have sitting here because... Oh, no, wait, I do. I am a pro. Or I have a sloppy mess around me just off camera. But, yeah, you can find out who won Doctor Strange. Don't pay the ferryman. So, find out both... Watch. Win. Find out if you won. All these things, people. All these things. All right, let's start to dive into this. I have not really planned this or scripted this or anything like else, so this might even be more rambly than normal. But that's okay, because it's a Brian Michael Bendis book, and what that son of a bitch does is ramble. He writes dialogue-heavy books. They're pithy, they're quippy, they're bantery. And that's kind of what he does. Even in the midst of battle, there's quippy, bantery stuff and things. And yeah, this is basically Superhero Registration Act. You know, something happened not in this book, so which is kind of frustrating because you get the prelude that tells you what the setup to this is, which I get. You sort of need some of this, but it's a marvelous thing to do. Instead of collecting everything you want in one volume, they collect this chunk of this, which is not, as a chunk, this is not very satisfying because, spoilers, nothing gets resolved in here. It's interesting enough, and there's tidbits that are interesting, and like it's definitely got a bias towards like the heroes that are not part of the thing. Okay, to back up a bit, there's something happened, and now the heroes are being all superhumans are being forced to register or be arrested. That's kind of the thing. There's a tragic event that happened off book. So one of the more interesting things that probably should have been in here, it happened previously. And so this is like what happens after that Registration Act is in place, sort of, from various points. There's a Captain America issue. There's a Luke Cage issue. There's a Spider-Woman issue. And then there's the Iron Man-ish issue, which is, yeah. And so they're on two different sides. Iron Man's on the pro-registration side, Captain America's on the anti, and then there's the others kind of like fall into places. This book heavily references things that do not happen in here, which is a bit frustrating, and it's the Marvel way, like especially in this era of things where they just collected everything, and like they're guilty of it now too. But they collect a lot of stuff. And then they sort of, at least the older Marvel pre this, would have an asterisk that said, see Avengers issues, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't even happen here. You don't really get where they're referencing things, or or the events that are being referenced. You're kind of like, okay, it's requiring you to have a knowledge of things that you just are supposed to have. And it gets a little frustrating. Now, I've read a fair amount of comics. I've watched the Captain America Civil War. I've not read this run of the Bendis New Avengers. And so there's parts in here where I don't know who that character is. No idea. Man. No idea the motivations. No idea why this character is doing what they're doing. But they're still pithy and dialogue. And That's the Bendis way. Bendis writes interesting enough plots, and he has interesting ideas. My faults with him are like every character seems about the same. Like Captain America, quippy. Iron Man, quippy. Luke Cage, quippy with a bad attempt at writing, from a slightly different perspective, but quippy. Spider Woman, quippy. I know I'm saying quippy like a lot, but that's what he does. It's like this back and forth banter, and every character is a bantering type of character, which is just not. I don't think it should be the case. And there's a lot of back and forth dialogue. And then there's these panels too, and it varies a bit from artist to artist. But like, should you read this across? Should you read it down? There's not a lot of visual cues here. And that's part of my problem with a lot of like this era of comics and modern era of comics too. Like a double page spread and then the bottom. So like this one's a little more clear, but some of the cutoffs and stuff are just not there. And it's just some of this basic comic storytelling stuff has fallen by the wayside, and it drives me a little bit bonkers. Like, how the hell does this make any damn sense? Can you tell me which order to read this in? Can you tell me where? Like, I mean, thankfully it's mostly visual, but like, it's just that it's a unclear, muddy ass storytelling, and I don't know if that's on the scripter. Like, I don't know if that's Bendis or I don't know if it's the artist, because some of this has to be Bendis, because like there's these tropes or these things he has. The double top across the bottom. He likes to do that. And I'm sure he's scripting that for his artist. And there's some that are better at it than others, and some that are telling a more clear story than others. Like Howard Chaykin's an old pro at this. He tells his Captain America issue solid. You know, mostly know what's going on. And then there's Koipel, a little bit fairly decent, but like these slices and stuff. I get that's the nature of comic book storytelling now and stuff too, but it's just kind of like there's not necessarily clear paths as far as how you should read this, and that's the part that drives me a little bit nuts. And then this heavily relies on the letter and stuff to like make these word balloons and stuff make sense because of the nature of Bendis' writing. This actually isn't even as dialogue heavy as some of his other works that he's done. Like his work on Powers was just kind of like bananas as far as like the amount of like dialogue and stuff. There's a lot of internal dialogue too, and instead of word balloons, which I get have gone by the wayside, the way of the dodo, there's just these squares, and in some ways word balloons were clearer because you could tell where the word balloons are coming from. Again, I'm just a cranky old bastard today apparently, but now this is not a bad story. It's actually pretty interesting. Like the plot's interesting ideas. What the strength of this is it's an interesting like attempt to like shoehorn comic book characters into real world things, like real world consequences for comic book actions, and that's where this is strongest, is when it does some of that. And like there's characters that are like attempting to like react, that Bendis has these characters like react in what would theoretically be real world reactions. Like Luke Cage sends off Jessica Jones and their infant daughter to go hide, and that's like a kind of a real world action, as opposed to like, in the 60s or 70s, everybody would be fighting, to just be like, yeah, we're gonna duke it out. I mean, there's still some like fantastical elements to this. Obviously, there's S.H.I.E.L.D. and helicarriers and various aspects of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Sentry. Is the Sentry a focus on one? Sentry's a focus on one of these issues too. Sorry, I forgot about the Sentry issue because it's fairly forgettable. Honestly, it's the Sentry. The Sentry issue adds pretty much nothing to this story, and where it does fall apart for me is that because of the nature of how this is told. Because each sort of issue is told from the point of view of what each character, you seem to miss an arcing plot, which there probably actually really isn't. It's just kind of like, okay, so you're a super successful register. This is how they all react. So I get why it's told like that. It's the reactions, but there's just not a whole lot of overarching narrative to this. And then at the end, like it's not a conclusion to this. Like you probably need to like keep reading to figure out what the hell happened and how it gets resolved. And so that's the most annoying part of this, is instead of just collecting the entire damn thing, if you were to pick this up, you're gonna be like, okay, well, that was fine, that was interesting. What now? Like, why this is not an end to a story? It's not even one story. It's like 5 little chunks of things that put together don't add up to a whole lot. And so that's my issue with this. It's not bad. It's fine plus even. Like I I know Bendis has fallen out of grace, and like his stuff, and I'm guilty of this too. His newer stuff has just kind of been somewhat god awful. But when he was when he was strong, he was very strong. And this is not his most strong, but this is decent. It's like the ideas in here are worth reading. Some of the art is worth checking out. And if you like the characters that I mentioned, you're going to probably like some of this, although they all do tend to react the same. So or not react the same. They all just tend to have the same inner voice. Like that's where the weakness of Bendis comes in. It's like all the characters are just kind of interchangeable in certain ways. Their motivations are not, but their verbal reactions and their way of like speaking and everything else, it all is just, you can probably just interchangeable, and that's where this is kind of meh for me. It's a quick read. I read this in probably an hour. I mean, it's not a thick boy. It's 5 issues of comics, and so you can get through it pretty quickly. You can win this, and I'll figure out how. This might be the most boring figure out how to win this one ever, because I'm not feeling super creative today. But yeah, that's not bad. It's worth it, but like, don't expect this to be the tell you everything you want. Like, this is like the teaser. So if you want to know how Civil War wraps up, you're gonna have to like read this and then keep reading and find down maybe the rest of New Avengers. I don't even know where the story concludes, because there's nothing at the end of this that says, hey, figure out how this thing ends, read here. It's not like it doesn't have that, which is that's also annoying. It's like, okay, just at least tell me where I can find the end of this. I'm guessing it's the next issues of New Avengers. I don't know. But yeah, Civil War. Hey, have you read it? Let me know. What do you think of it? Let me know. Do you want to read it? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and now let's get into how you can win. Well, first, hang on. Who won this one? I don't know. I could never figure it out. And speaking of which, oh no, see, I always do that. Never could figure it out. You won this, sir. Hit me up and let me know on Instagram, and I'll ship this out to you. Give me your address, and I'll get it out to you. And you have to actually do that, and that's how people win things from me. You have to watch the next week's video. You have to keep the cycle churning. I have to keep this content rolling, people. And yeah, in order to win this one, I don't know, just leave a comment of something that left you unsatisfied. Could be comic-wise, could be life-wise, could be whatever. I don't care. Down below. Leave a comment about unsatisfactory things. And you have to be subscribed, hit the like button on this video, and also be a U.S. resident. I'm not going to ship this overseas or to Canada, because it's just not worth it. I didn't pay a ton for these trade paperbacks usually, and I don't want to pay a ton to ship them. And it's, you're getting it free. So you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Like kindergarten, right? So that's about it. Yeah, and I'll announce the winner. Today's the 18th of January. I'll announce the winner next week, Tuesday. These videos drop every Tuesday, my trade paperback reviews. I usually give them away. There's some I don't, because if I like them, I might keep them. I'm a greedy bastard like that. But yeah, to find out who won this one, tune in next Tuesday, the 25th, probably. That's probably about right, of January 2022. And if you're watching this in the past, whoopsie, you freaking missed out. But it's fine. You didn't miss out on much. You missed out on something you missed out on a little bit, but whatever. You can read this digitally. You can save a planet, save a whale, save whatever. All right, this might be my most rambly of the bunch ever. Maybe, I don't know, possibly. Doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. It'll probably leave you unsatisfied, much like this book left me unsatisfied. I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, that's about it. Don't be a dick, even if nothing in life satisfies you. See ya.